New podcast. Who dis?
Is that what we're going to call it? Udis.
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 New podcast. Udis. Hello. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the G52 podcast.
Yeah, we haven't changed the name. That'll be.
We talked about it for a while, didn't we? We were talking about
We didn't want to lose our amazing, wonderful, renowned international brand that we have.
Strump Nation. One Strump Nation. One nation under Strump. One gang of nerds under Strump.
Have you tried to buy Greenland yet?
No, I want Iceland.
You want to shop in Iceland?
I generally do shop in Iceland. I'd stick my nuts to the freezer wall. Gives me a hell of a kick. So if you were worried about it continuing,
farm foods, you're a bit more classy than me.
I like farm food. I'm going to say it because actually 90% of our listeners will have no idea, but in the way I like to watch people coming in and out of farm foods. Makes me feel better about myself some days when I'm a bit down. Anyway, that's just made me sound like a right arsehole to anybody who knows that. But anyway, there we go. If you were worried about Season 2 maybe not being the same vibe as the last 3 years worth of G52 podcast, I think we've just reassured you that this is still total fucking nonsense.
We did float the idea of do we go clean? We tried not to swear, so maybe I
bollocks that up already, haven't I?
No. Well, I think we decided that we weren't going to be able to control you.
Well, if you listen to the Imperial Truth and how much editing went on with that, and I knew I had to be clean, and I was trying to be clean. I don't talk. I guess it's the fact that I have always viewed this as a recording of the conversation we would have, whatever we're talking. So
we're friends having a hobby catch up and talking about.
I can't talk on this any other way than I would talk to you about anything else. So we're still going to be explicit. It's still going to be stupid, and now we get to talk about other game systems that are stupid. So if you're new to the G52, you've somehow stumbled your way across this. My name's Tom, otherwise known as Strump. If you want to know how that comes from, there's 38 podcasts to listen to. It's an adventure. Don't listen to the first 5. Anyway, we were just finding our feet, honest.
I'd probably skip a few more than that as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, when did we get the new desk? About episode 12?
I can't remember. I think I can't remember.
Go to YouTube. Find where it starts on YouTube, because that is when Stu uploaded them from when we got decent sound quality.
Yeah, that's probably.
And we stopped.
I think you might be able to tell from the show name. I think there was a hint in that, but I can't. No one's going to go back anyway, because it's
basically what happened is we got a new desk. I had to go around to Stu's, and I stopped drinking a bottle of rum every time we recorded.
Is it a mixing desk? This is not a table.
So anyway, my name's Tom, and I am joined as always by my co-host Stu.
Hello. We're not going to do intros, though.
We're not. But I just
assume that people know.
I did kind of start this show on the assumption that everybody knows who we are. So absolutely. I just thought I'd pander to a little bit that if you're new to us, this is where.
I'll tell you what. If you are new, go back and listen to what will be renamed now. Was Open Play 1 when we were teasing with having a second show for alternative games. That's going to be renamed as the Season 2 pilot.
Yeah.
So if you go back and listen to that, we did a bit of an introduction to ourselves there.
Yeah. That's probably the best place.
If you're new and you don't know us, go and have a listen to that.
So we're going to go into our usual format. We're going to roll out for a little break, and then we're going to come back with a really meaty hobby catch-up.
G52 is sponsored by Incom Gaming, the new centre for tabletop wargaming in Gloucestershire. Visit incomgaming.co.uk for great savings on pre-orders and all your hobby needs. We stock many gaming systems and hobby accessories and can ship to anywhere in the UK. Market-leading gaming mats from gamemat.eu. Visit the store and check out how to turn your tabletop into a battlefield. Incom Gaming is based in the centre of Cheltenham and offers tables and scenery for casual and organised play with a fully licensed bar. Check out our events page for upcoming events where everyone is welcome. Visit incomgaming.co.uk. Incom Gaming. Come game, shop, drink.
Boom, chicka, wow, wow.
You've used that before.
I know.
We can do jingles, real jingles. You don't have to sing or.
You turn it on, and I think, how am I going to start? Because I'm not a very creative person. But anyway, we are back, and we are going to cover all the crap we've been up to in the last 2 months.
Yeah, if we can remember it all.
Bar the stuff we talked about.
Probably a bit more, really. Yeah. It's kind of a smattering of things that have kind of.
I'm not going to redo the onion ploy.
No,
that was long enough anyway. But we're going to talk about some of the other stuff. So I'm to reassure.
Kicking off with heresy straight away, which is good.
I put 3 heresy events down. I can't remember what they are. I know I went to Eastbourne.
Mm-hmm.
Where else have I been? Have we talked about Spartanax?
I don't know, actually. Can't remember. That's not good, is it?
A long time ago. When did we last record?
Did you go back to the
June?
previous show notes?
June? No.
I don't know. Have a look. Have a look at that. See, good radio.
Good radio bell. Well, I definitely went to Eastbourne. We can talk about that. I'm in April. We must have recorded since April. There's quite a lot of pictures. I mean, my top off at the moment.
What you looking at?
I'm looking at my pictures.
Oh, I'm looking at the episode 37 notes
What
because
does
I
it
thought
say?
we might have a better way of finding out what we recorded.
Well, what does it say?
Sector W12,
Yeah, so I covered Brendan's event.
Spartanax.
Did cover Spartanax.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only really Eastbourne then to talk about.
Okay, so
Eastbourne.
Cool.
Eastbourne, that was fun. Many things happened in Eastbourne. Many things happened in Brighton.
these things that you can't mention on the show or aren't gaming related.
So I went down to Eastbourne. So when I would put 3 heresy events to talk about, I mean 1. I went down to Eastbourne. I went down to Eastbourne for the 3rd time I've said that. Went down to play at Tom Sargent's event. Well, actually, what I went down to get drunk and hang around. So Tom asked if I'd come down and be the standby player. And Table Tom and Kurt were looking at coming down for tickets as well. So they were like, well, they're going to go down. I was going to go down. So we got ourselves a little B&B on the seafront at Eastbourne. And we decided to go down. Tom is the worst navigator I've ever driven. So normally, whenever me and Tom have been somewhere, I've driven. I've got us there. Never gone wrong. Never got a problem. 7 hours it took us to get to Eastbourne. It's a 3-hour drive. He decided to go 3 different ways around Cheltenham. He got lost. He decided to go down to the South Coast Road.
Why didn't you use your sat-nav?
Because I kept telling him to ignore his sat-nav and go the way I'm describing because he was listening to me. It's totally not his fault. It's all to do with me. We ended up stopping at the pub halfway because we got so pissed off of being in traffic. Stopped in the pub somewhere. So it took us 7 hours to get to Brighton.
Was it Friday travelling? Was it? Yeah, that's probably why.
Eastbourne, it was pretty nuts. So we got down on the Friday night. Promptly got hammered in the pub next door to our hotel. Ended up going halfway across Eastbourne to some weird-ass bar that's by Tom Sargent's flat. I promptly got in there, decided it would be better if I was in Brighton, because I was drunk. And I did possibly the most dangerous thing I've ever done in my life. I got in a car with Callum. Callum, the nicest man in Heresy, the lovely, sedate young gentleman, is a fucking animal in a car. Jesus Christ. It's got a little Toyota MR2 and I genuinely wasn't sure of it. That's why I went to Brighton. I had to go and lie down on the floor. I had to get some comfort in Brighton. I was genuinely terrified. But I'm not going to go into any more detail, but suffice to say, I got drunk in Eastbourne and woke up in Brighton.
Nice.
So Tom came and picked me up on Saturday about 7 a.m. from Brighton. Thank you very much, both Callum and Tom, for enabling my poor life choices. And then we went to the event. I walked to the event. I said hello to everyone. I gave people many hugs. I saw the first round start. I went back to the hotel and I went to bed. And I slept. When did I play a game? I played a game. Did I play? I played Tom on the Saturday afternoon. I came back in the afternoon. Somebody had to poodle off in the afternoon, so I had to go back in the afternoon. So I played the 3rd game. And it was really cool because I got to use my little militia detachment. So one of the things Tom had done for the event is everybody had to bring an allied detachment. So he essentially had 4 teams. You've got 2 loyalists and 2 traitor teams. And where you were allocated to basically depended what ally you had to bring.
Right.
So it was basically a split between talons. So the loyalists, you either brought a militia allied detachment or a talons allied detachment. The loyalists either brought, and the traitors either brought demon allies or a militia allied, or it was militia stroke mechanicum. So I did my 500 points worth of Mechanicum, Militia, Skitarii, Scavenger, Techno Scavenger, Clade. So that was the black Skitarii, Genestealer Cult mashup models that I did a few months ago with the Goliath truck and the heavier weapons teams. And I took my mech, took Cat Lady and a few other bits and pieces, and ran into Tom's Beasts of Caliban, AOS. So we turned up to play Heresy and Tom turned up playing AOS. You know, it's fucking stupid, you know. He turned up with all these fucking dragons and stuff. So I don't know if you've seen Table Tom's Army online. It is amazing. He has taken the Draca lines. The bigger ones. So the Stormcast riding dragon lines. Very nice. Yeah. Well, there's big ones and small ones, isn't there?
Yeah.
Because he's getting some of the smaller ones to do Outrider bikes on now, and the bigger ones, not the big Star Drake one, like the.
Yeah. So the Draca lines, I think, are the kind of big ones the main characters sit on. You've got some smaller ones that aren't Draca lines.
Yeah, they're like the troops infantry sort of version of those dragony things, Vanguard models.
Yeah, it's a different thing. They're not Draca lines, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, so basically turn up with Space Marines riding dragons with heavy bolters strapped to the side of them, and was basically running them as a Raven Wing army. So they were all jet bikes and stuff, and as many Herpes bolt rounds as you can fit on a table. And it looked insane with my crazy Mechanicum and crazy Militia and dragons riding everywhere. It was brilliant. It was absolutely amazing. So we promptly battered the 7 barrels of crap out of each other, and I think he smashed my face in the end. But those Herpes bolt rounds are like the worst thing for my Mechanicum, because generally they're going to go through my army. They're poison 2+, so they're wounding. They're getting around my toughness. They're getting around my armor. Fucks my Killer taught me a lesson with those with heavy bolters in Brendan's event. You know, they hurt, but you know, can't win everything with Mechanicum. You just have to win 95% of the games. So that was good fun. We went out for crazy burgers. Afterwards, I watched Rob Medwell order a burger that was 4 beef patties, 2 bits of bacon, and nothing else.
Nice.
That's how you maintain a figure like it is. You just eat meat. Just the meat. No bread, no salad, no chips. Just meat. Just solid meat.
It's some kind of weird keto diet thing, is it?
Yeah, to be fair, we were chatting a lot, to be fair, about health and fitness and stuff and diet and stuff. And he was on a bulking phase when he's building up weight, because I think so. He's eating lots of protein and stuff. So yeah, no, fair play to him. That was good. I didn't make it too long because I was hanging.
You found it rough, were you?
Out of my arsehole. I'd had 1 hour's sleep in 36. It was pretty rough. So me, Tom and Kurt pootled back to the hotel and called it a night. I mean, to be fair, it was still like 10, 11 o'clock by the time we pootled back. We just didn't end up in the nightclub, which Harry has now got the infamous "let me ib," because I got hammered on the Friday, Harry got hammered on the Saturday. We kind of have this working relationship now where one of us just gets shit-faced on each night. Never together, always different. We only got shit-faced once together. That was Southampton. That was Pete's event in Southampton. I ended up throwing up at 9 o'clock... 7 o'clock in the morning
on the way to
breakfast with Johnny.
Yes.
So that's the only time we've drunk together. I was drinking soggy biscuits out of a plastic chug.
Nice.
Last time me and Harry drank together, so you know, there's a reason we drink on separate nights now. But yeah, that was good fun. Roll back in on the Sunday. Generally just hung about for the 2 days. It was really nice actually to go down and kind of chat with Tom and be around and
spare play, a bit of reffing kind of stuff.
Yeah,
isn't it?
just help Tom out, talk to people, just be around. I've asked people to do it a lot, and I've always worried about the experience for them. Like, if they don't get games, are they going to be... I played one game over the weekend, but as with this kind of UK event heresy scene that I've talked about, I see most of those people at events. I don't get to catch them. And you're playing a game, you chat to one person, but you're
catching up with friends, hanging out. You're able to have a few... I suppose it's better than... Because you made a weekend of it, hanging out with friends, having drinks, things, food. Whereas maybe if you turned up as a spare player for a day and you drove there and drove back and you didn't get a game, maybe it wouldn't be quite so social and exciting, so to speak.
But it was good fun just about... Well, I think even if I had been there for that, it was a long way for Eastbourne, but so
yeah,
good
you wouldn't respawn in a day and back, would you?
But it was nice to hang out and just be around and chat to people and just, generally be about. So that was good fun. So outside of Heresy, what have I been doing?
You've been doing lots of Heresy modelling and painting and stuff as well. It's all sort of mixed in.
I've been doing
together.
a lot of Titanicus stuff as well. Been playing absolutely tons of Titanicus. I've been enjoying the game, but now it's a complete game, if that makes sense. Now we've got all the models out. Well, not all the models out. We've got a good range of models out. We've got different scenarios. We've got lots of stratagems now. There's lots of Legio rules out. There's lots of interest to do now. So me and Henry Steele have been trying to get in a game every other week or so. We've failed for a month because summer and shit. But that's been really, really fun. So I'm painting some Titanics. I'm doing bits and bobs of Heresy. I'm got Greetings from the Warp in October. So I knew I couldn't do a new army, so I'm doing new Mechanicum stuff. So I've done a Thanatar, I've done a Termite, I've got a new Magos that I'm building, which will hopefully be. I don't know whether to put it up online or whether I want to save it until the event, because it's kind of mental, isn't it?
It's gonna be, yeah. I know the parts you're using. You haven't built it yet, have you?
No. Dreadmore. The thing is being washed.
Well,
to be fair, I put a picture of that up on Instagram.
So
if you're looking at
there is a Dreadmore.
There's a Dreadmore involved.
Save it. It'd be more fun.
Yeah, I kind of want that impact at the event.
Or the night before or something like that.
Yeah, I might post it the night before. So it might be a little while till we see that. But I've been posting the Thanatar. I've got some thralls to do. I've got 20 heavy chainblade thralls because everybody loves thralls. So bugger is they're on 32mm bases, the acolytes that I'm going to use. And thralls are on 25mm. Putting bigger bases is only going to hamper me though, doesn't it? It only hampers me. I just don't know if they'll look. I think they'll look shit on 25s.
I think they probably will as well.
I'm just going to bang on 32s. None of my bases are right size.
It's not a competitive event, is it?
Like Brendan likes to point out, all my Thalaxes are on 32 because I picked it wrong. So I did two more photon thruster Thalax to go with part of this, and I put them on 32s. Brendan's like, why have you put them on 32s? It's like, because all my other Thalax are on 32s when they should be on 40s. It was like, fuck's sake. I was like, well, at least they match now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? It's not a competitive event.
No. I
don't even know if there's a line in there that says about basiness of heresy. I think it's just appropriate size. I know some systems, some GW systems say use the base supplied and the competitive. I think there's a line like that in SPG. I think they say that
because of the way you've got your people fighting in together and stuff. Base size is the amount of people who can get in contact is quite important. Isn't it?
Even that's a bit around. I was talking to one of the local SPG players about it last night. I didn't realise, but Bolger's on some weird kind of oval base, whereas every other cavalry model in SPG is on round base. Okay. So that's a bit weird, and it's because the designer decided that was the base, and they get to pick at the time. So very weird. Anyway, back to your
So been doing that. I've also been painting some Song of Ice and Fire stuff. So I bought the big Stark versus Lannister the Kickstart box now. The starter set. I painted 8 Stark. Sworn Swords as we're going. Nice thing is it's ready to play. The game is all the models are assembled. You can play it straight out of the box. You don't have to paint it. It's coloured plastic.
Does it need cleaning up a lot?
Nope. The odd tiny bit of flash.
Yeah.
Like you just need a little flicker bit off.
Mould line all around it or anything?
No. Mould line's pretty good. It's 35mm scale. It's slightly bigger, which is quite nice. Some of the detail is not great, as in like we've got to come to get used to the GW plastic faces are very basic.
Very spoiled with GW.
Yeah.
Especially the modern models.
But I like it. I'm enjoying it. It's nice. I can bang them out, crank them out. Because for me, again, it's like I enjoy playing in that scenario. I want to play in the Game of Thrones world. Yeah. So I'm quite enjoying it. The Targaryen starter set's coming out soon. I will be all over that shit. Lots of Dothraki riders, lots of cavalry. Fucking amazing. I have no idea how it's going to play. But
how many factions are out at the moment?
So you've got Stark and Lannister out. You've got the Night's Watch. You've got Free Folk, so Beyond the Wall. You've got some Boltons, which are neutrals.
Can you take them in allies?
You can add them into other factions as well. So Boltons, you see when Boltons with Lannister armies or Boltons with Stark armies. So you do that a bit as well. I think that's what the Targaryens will be as well. Be neutral factions essentially. Not sure. The Baratheon box set just came out at what was the big con in America? It's just gone. Gen Con?
Must be Gen Con, yeah.
Yeah, so Gen Con.
The latest big, really big one, I think.
Yeah. So they've just they had the boxes up for early sale there, so they're coming out for pre-order now. So yeah, you got the Baratheons out. We know we've got the Targaryens coming next. I don't think it's been previewed or stuff. But it's quite nice because you'll get hero boxes as well. So we've just had the Stark Heroes 2 and stuff. So it's really interesting game system. So you've got your combat units, So you've got your models on the table that you move in a movement tray and fight with like a traditional rank and file game.
Yeah.
But you have your non-combat characters as well, and you have what we call a tactics board on the side, which can influence effects on the game. So you'll generally take one or two in your army list. You'll purchase non-combat characters. So I think in the box I've got, you get Catelyn Stark and you get Sansa Stark for the Lannisters. And I think you get Tyrion and Cersei for the Lannisters. So they'll have an effect on the game.
Are they represented by a miniature?
Yeah. So you get the miniature and you get a little board. So what will happen is you activate a unit, and this is still one of your activations. So it's an I go, you go activation. So you can choose to activate your non-combat characters, and you claim a section. There's 5 sets on the tactics boards.
Right.
Wealth, tactics, intrigue.
So you're making that choice to get that buff, but you're not directly doing something on the table.
But then you've got tactics cards as well. So you'll have tactics cards and orders you can give. So they can influence those things, and you can stop people doing things. It's good. Really interesting. So it's like
so you could be giving away someone effectively a double turn on the table itself.
Yeah.
But by doing that, you might be stronger.
So it's very interesting. It's very tactical. It's a rank and file game, but a full game you might have 5 units on the table. So I think the start box set is Grey Wind.
Yeah,
and it comes as an individual. You put him on one base. 2 Stark Sworn Swords, a squad of Umber Berserkers, and a Stark Cavalry.
Yeah,
and that's about 50-ish points, and you generally full game is about 60 points, so you're not far off.
I'm looking forward to when we try. We talked about in the last show, talked about future episodes like this.
One
of the games we're going to play.
I need to get Dawson to give me a game again, though. I've forgotten how a lot of it works, but it works very well. It's cards for each unit. It's you go, I go activation.
Well, definitely
modern game design.
I really like the look of the models. I really like the things you've just said there, the way it works. Visually, I'm not sure. I'm undecided on the 5 units on the table and how that looks for me. But if the gameplay's good enough, I'll forget that very, very quickly.
Because you play on a 4x4, and a 35mm scale, it does fill the table. That's what I mean. If you're playing on a 4x4, I mean, the movement tray for an infantry is sort of. This is great radio. I'm making it about that size, so it's a fair chunk. It's a big unit. You've got
6-7 inch square. Kind of thing.
You've got 8 models in there. So 8 35mm models is quite a. So it does fill the table.
I don't think that will be a problem when I play it. Just from looking at a picture, I just thought, it looks a little bit odd because it looks like mass army, but without the mass.
But that's exactly what it is. It plays like a rank and file game with that big, sort of.
I'm guessing
you're not having
that
to paint
group
200
of
models.
12 models or so is maybe representing hundreds
it's
and hundreds.
The wounds.
Is it?
It's the wounds. So what will happen is, you have 3 ranks essentially. So you have 4 in each rank of models for your typical infantry unit. So you will. So if I take we get into combat, I roll to hit, you roll your saves, you lose 3 guys. You'll take 3 off the back.
Right.
Now, the number of attacks you get is generally dependent on the ranks you've got as well. So the more ranks you've got, so if I only kill 3, you're still counted as having a full 4 ranks. And then, but if I kill another one, you then down a rank. So the rank system, it represents a unit's effective. So you effectively got 12 wounds on that unit.
Does it talk about whether it's a 1-to-1 scale in terms of that? It sounds like you said, they're representing. In a lot of historical war games, they will talk about it being whether it's a 1-to-1 scale in terms of model versus casualty, or whether whether that unit of 20 men is actually supposed to represent 200 men or something. It sounds like it's more like historical.
The models represent the effectiveness of the health. You'd think it's more like wounds. So they've got, similar to Battle Shock in AOS, you take a test at the end where you've got to roll over your courage, and if you lose more models, you roll over, you lose that many models out of the back of the unit and stuff like that. You can replenish those ranks as well. So one of the Lannister things that they can do with one of their units is instead of rolling on your test, you can choose to automatically pass the test and lose 1 model. So you can lose 1 model, but you're not going to lose any more. And then they can get reinforced. So one of the powerful things with the Night's Watch, the Night's Watch are probably one of the more powerful factions, is you've got things where you can reinforce and you can conscript. And one of the things they can do is when they kill a unit, they can take their models and use their models they've killed to replenish their rank. So there's lots. So it's not a this is my model. This is my wounds on my unit.
Sounds like, not that you do this, but it sounds like you could, if you wanted to, represent those wounds with bases of smaller scale miniatures. So you could find some suitable 15mm scale miniatures and then make those blocks of units actually look like hundreds. I mean, essentially, more visual
you could play the game with paper
and
counters, or even a tally chart, just knocking up numbers and stuff. You know, it works on that level, but it's. You know, again.
Yeah, I'm not saying you'd do that. Yeah. That's from years ago playing historical war games and thinking about how you might visualise. If you think they don't look like 200 Ben, so how do we make it look more like a real battlefield?
Yeah, nobody wants to paint 1,000 miniatures to play a game, so we need to think about how we make it work. So, that's been really good. What else have I been doing? I'm painting a couple of. I'm painting that. Well, I say I've been painting that 70mm model. I painted the flesh, and it annoyed me. I started painting the metals, and I've just my buzzers have run out with that historical thing, so I'm leaving it because it's a little pet project. Paint up we talked to Necromunda at Open Play, didn't we? When the pilot show, doing that. What else have I been doing? I'm trying to think what's doing with cabinets. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. I'm in Ice of Fire, playing some Heresy. Titanicus has filled my games. I've painted Knight Lancers.
Yeah,
I've been painting weapons. Playing a lot of Titanicus. Fucking great game. I'm amazed I'm surprised it hasn't got a bigger following. If that makes sense. I think the people I was listening to Matt talk about. He went to the event at Bristol Independent Gaming. Mm-hmm. Oh no, Vanguards. Went to the Vanguards event. Dan Evans ran.
Yeah.
He made a good comment. He said it isn't a massive following for Titanicus, but the people who play it absolutely fucking love it, and that's definitely where I am with it.
I've not really got an idea of the size of the community for it, to be honest with you, because it seems so intertwined with the greater heresy community.
It's a good
in some
community,
ways.
And I think I've talked about it before. I think a lot of people get their fingers burnt with the Grandmaster box, and it didn't lead to a great experience. But now the battle group and the rule set, go out and buy the battle group and the rule set. Play the game. It's fucking great because you're in and you started and you can play them. Yeah, that battle group box does about 1,500 points. Yeah, it's basically I'm running Warhound. If I run a Warlord, 2 Reavers, 2 Warhounds, which is in the box, can do about just over 1,500 points. And 1,500 points is a good level for a game club a night. 2 hours, good fun game, plenty of opportunity to do stuff, and you can get into that. So
I remember saying at the time. I remember saying right when we didn't know what the release schedule was being, and looking at that Grandmaster box and thinking, well, it's not a 2-player starter, but it's going to be used like that. Yeah. And is there enough in it to have a balanced game? I can remember saying at the time, well, why aren't you getting Warhounds in the box, 2 of those and the Knights, and then making people want to go and then buy the bigger ones.
Yeah. What we should have done, looking back on it, is we could have bought a Grandmaster between us.
Yeah,
and that would have been fine. Mm-hmm. Well, it wouldn't have been actually then, because we wouldn't have. We'd have to buy the Grandmaster and a rule set.
I'm happy with buying it. It's all painted. It's in my cabinet. I've still playing games with it all the time. One on the list again, but and I'm. I'll talk about it when I talk about the sort of hobby in our section later on. But I'm happy with owning miniatures as long as they're painted and in the cabinet. What I don't want is and I'm happy to have miniatures for a game that I only play once or twice a year. What I don't want is boxes and boxes of rules and the miniatures for a game which I never play, never painted, never assembled, and then another game comes along and you end up with this kind of not only a shame, isn't it? It's like a terrible.
I was all up for getting into Warcry. I was really bang up for it, and I made the decision that I haven't got time to do with the stuff I've got. I can't get into Warcry as well. I made a decision. I said to you earlier. I was sort of thinking the other day. I was like, I made a decision that I'm not going to buy any more. I'm going to buy my Thralls when I get paid next week. But that is it for purchases now for model wise, unless something special comes along, a limited edition model or something. Because I like collecting those. I've got to get through. I mean, I was talking to Henry. Because I want to do another Titanicus maniple. I want to do a Mortis. I've got a really nice idea for a Titanicus. It's 3 Warlords and a Reaver. Nice and easy to do.
Nice I've done 2 Mortis commissions now.
Very heavy.
Lovely to paint.
Lovely paint scheme to do. And it's just a brutal savage. I'm going to get lots of chains on them and things like that. Really cool to do. But I said to him, we were chatting about this, and I was like, I can't do it because I've got the 20 Thralls to do. I've bought a Human Blood Bowl team that I need to finish.
Yeah.
I've got AOS that I want to finish off more of, because I still haven't got. I've got about 50. I'm about.
I'm happy. I've got my 2,000 points.
But I'd like to get
go,
I want to get 2,000 points of AOS so we can play
a
AOS
big game,
together. Yeah. I want to do the Necromunda Enforcers. I haven't bought those because I'm not going to do them. What did I send Henry my list of shit that I was going to do?
They're on my potential list because I still don't have a Necromunda gang. And while I had the idea of doing the what are the names? What was I going to do?
You were going to do the Venators.
I was going to do Venator, wasn't I? Just gave me a bit of modelling freedom. I haven't really got the time to put the effort I want to in them. So picking up the Enforcers might be a good way of almost quickly painting up a gang. So that might be something I do.
There you go. So I got Magos to finish, 20 Chamber Throws, Song of Ice and Fire to paint, 70mm historical, Lord of the Rings Rivendell army, Blood Bowl team. So I've got more than enough projects. My hobby time, as you probably realised if you've been listening to podcasts, like my hobby time has vanished compared to what it used to be a couple of years ago because of factors and life and work and stuff. I've got more money to buy models, but no. I genuinely have considered messaging me like I'm going to get some stuff commissioned because I'm in that point now where as much as I love to paint and I have it. And it's frustrating me. See, I could pay you to paint my Blood Bowl team. I'd be more than happy because I just want it painted. You know. So I'm now at that point now. I'm starting that. My work-life balance has changed. So
I've got a lot of clients that still paint. They're not always people that don't paint. It's just because they've got stuff they want to play.
Well, I'd like to play in the next Blood Bowl League at Incom, and I'd like to play with the human team, but that's kicking off in like a month or two. So it's like, oh fucking hell, I am missing events and not going to things. So I want to go to a Song of Ice and Fire event now. They don't have any real issues with unpainted in that community. They really aren't that worried. But for me, it's more me. If I start, I always know if I start playing unpainted, I won't paint it. Yeah. So I'm kind of kicking. I want to paint my way through that. So it's like, So see, it's a bit. I'm trying to work my way through stuff, paint stuff. So I'm now looking at like I don't need to buy any more stuff. I want to finish what I've got.
Makes sense.
But. Like I think games like Shadespire might tempt me, where it's like 3 models.
It's a little different, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think we're going to pick up things just because of the cast. We want to try different things. Yeah. We want to sort of report back to you guys about different games.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to go steal the Warcry set from Chip, and we'll play that.
We'll just try it because again, it's something that interests me, but not right now. And Middle Earth for me scratches my fantasy rather than sci-fi itch very well at the moment, so I don't need. And I've got and if I didn't have an AOS paint army at the moment, I probably wouldn't get into that. I've got a painted AOS army.
Nice because you've got that 2,000. I need to get my army finished so that we can play that because I know you'll enjoy the game.
Yeah. And I'm happy to. Once it's painted in the cabinet. I can pick up and play. I've got no desire to move it on. Yeah. If it was sitting in boxes undone, I'll be thinking, am I ever going to play this? So
I think I need to have a little purge stuff. I've got so much first generation X-Wing stuff that I haven't got no motivation to play X-Wing now. I can't keep up with that competitive matter.
I've got a tiny bit of it, but again, it's just Emma played it a couple of times. That's become like on the board game shelf now. That'll get cracked out when.
Well, I've got like
for Jacob as well.
I've got 2 complete fleets and stuff, and I just need to.
We never played like that. We were playing like 2 or 3 ships a go kind of thing.
Yeah. So I need to get that all up on eBay and get it sold because the models are still valid. It's just the cards aren't and stuff. So. I might just stick it up on eBay.
Using good cash to not spend on another hobby because you haven't finished your projects.
But there we go. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. What have you been up to then, Stuart?
Oh, I suppose those who that follow the Miniature Elves painting studio page will know that probably personally, I've only painted Middle Earth stuff for a while.
You're the number one Middle Earth crack dealer in Gloucestershire at the moment.
I'm trying to think what else I've done. So I've done a lot painting wise since. That's not heresy related since we last. What are notable things? What have we done? I've done fucking loads.
How many SPG armies have you done this year?
I've only fully painted 2.
I thought you'd done 3.
No, I'm working on a 3rd.
Your militia?
So
Lake Town militia.
Survivors of Lake Town. So that's my full complete. I've painted the whole faction. I've painted every model they do for that.
Iron Hills.
That was just a war band of Iron Hills.
Right. So that's not a full.
Will be a full army soon. They're sitting upstairs waiting to go. I've done Army of the Dead. So in the Pelennor box set, that you get loads of dead in there, and I bought a few more.
Rohan out of that?
I've still got it. That's like project number 6 or 7 on the list at the moment. But there's a new book. I'll quickly digress. They've announced what the next book is. So they
Gondor at War, isn't it?
No, that's out. That's been out. The next one like that is Rohan at War.
Of course, it's fucking.
So
Rohan
there'll be
at War.
even more Rohan based stuff, and there'll be new Isengard stuff as well. So I don't know if there'll be too much extra Rohan. I'm guessing now because they were extra Rohan characters in the Gondor at War stuff. I
think you'll get it because that seems to be the model. Is the book comes out 1 or 2 heroes and a couple of units.
Yeah, so you've got your main rule book, you've got the 2 core army books, and then you've got these campaign books, and in them there's a narrative campaign, and there will be extra models, units for the going to be characters or heroes, as you call them in that game, for the factions involved in that campaign. So Gondor War had all the stuff you can think of for Return of the King, so your Pelennor Fields, your Army of Dead, etc. Rohan at War will cover a bit more. It will be 2 towers kind of stuff, I imagine. So you'll have Isengard and Wozes and all that kind of stuff. I imagine that a lot of Rohan's been covered, but they'll have rules for maybe using Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli with Rohan, because at the moment you can't ally them in based on the current rules.
There'll be kind of a Helm's Deep. There's talk of a Helm's Deep style army where people
I can't imagine that there won't be a
more.
Defenders of Helm's Deep thing. They have things called Legendary Legions. I covered this on the sort of pilot show that we did, but they have things called Legendary Legions, which are kind of like formations for old 40k kind of players that aren't broken. These things work.
Yeah, it's a way of building a themed army.
Yeah, they haven't ruined the game with it. So I imagine I'll have those. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, I've done 2 armies ish at the moment. I've done all my the Army of the Dead, only really to use with the 3 hunters, which I haven't painted those 3 models yet.
I really like that Army of the Dead 3 hunters, and with the new models that were
it's a very U style.
Yeah,
it's really very like U-style gaming because they're broken.
Fuck. Can you imagine how much salt Collis is going to give me when I play Elves and Army of the Dead?
In terms of you getting an SB, if you wanted to get an SBG army on the table quickly, super quick.
Yeah,
super quick.
That's what's tempting me is I could play that and work on my because I really like the Rivendell models. I'm really enjoying that, and I kind of in
them slowly.
I'm in that crux between like I need to knock them out.
Yeah.
But I don't want to because when I painted, I've done 1 test model, haven't I? And I've done the golds with true metallics, but in a very non-metallic style, a lot of glazing and a lot of light placement and stuff. And it doesn't take very long, but it takes a bit. It's not a base coat and wash kind of job. Yeah. And I like that, and I kind of want to do that. And little flowers on the bases, and there's a few touches and stuff. And half of me thinks. Because I mean, I don't. They're quite elite, aren't they? Army of the Dead.
Yeah, you wouldn't need too many. So I think there's 20 that come in a starter box.
Yeah.
And I bought another 20.
Yeah.
And then I converted.
I'm not buying any more models.
I converted them into 2 of them into banners, heralds.
Yeah.
Not proper banners. They're called heralds.
Yeah.
And I bought a King of the Dead on eBay with a broken sword for £5 and converted it and fixed it. Yeah. So it's incredibly cheap, and that's all I've painted. But just that lot alone is probably getting close to 800 points.
Yeah, and
they work differently.
500's a big game?
No, that's a small game.
It's an event game?
Quite common. It's sort of 600, 700, 750.
So you may be 1 more warband away from being full.
Well, the way they work, that is a war. That I've got enough. But by adding in the 300s, then I think they almost got to 1,000 points.
Yeah.
So that is added for those who don't know the Lord of the Rings rules. The 300s is a pack of 3 plastic miniatures, which is Aragorn and Legolas and Gimli.
Yeah.
And if you've seen Return of the King, you know when they go and meet the King of the Dead and they go and attack.
It's that kind of era model.
That's what it's supposed to be. So it becomes something else. That's a Legendary Legion now, so they can work together. So
one thing that I might just comment with SPG, if you're not familiar with SPG, you may have Aragorn, but there might be 4 models for him. One might be Strider very early in Fellowship. And then they will have models.
There's only 2 profiles now, I think. So you've got your Aragorn Strider and you've got Aragorn Elisar, which is the king. But yeah, you're right. But there's loads of actual miniatures.
So just when you say there's the 3 hunters, Aragorn,
there's new sculpts that came out recently. It's a 3 hunters box set, and they got a new
representing
Legolas
them at that era of time, or that place in the narrative.
It's that kind of breaking, just after the breaking of the Fellowship kind of era. So the beautiful models.
Rohan,
really, you could do it quite cheap. And if you want to run it as a Legion, you probably only need 1 set of Dead. Because they're so pricey. You need King of the Dead as well. They're so pricey in terms of points in the game.
Well, we'll see where we are when that King of the Dead model comes out.
Well, you can try them because I've got the army. They are filth though. You will just roll over people. So
right, I'm in. Sorted.
It's very you. It really is. And you got your ghosts in AOS, haven't you? So you can
always
use
my
the same
ghosts are
scheme.
not broken. unless I play them as Legion of Grief, and then everybody hates them. Legion of Grief.
But they've got that, like the Dead in many game systems, they break the general rules of the game.
Yeah.
And I won't go into any more detail than that.
Yeah. They don't follow the general design pattern of units.
They work differently. There's why they work against people's courage, and I won't go into the details because people don't like the system. I know there's a group of people listening to this that do like that system, but they're probably still going to be like 2 or 3% of the actual listeners out there. So if people are interested, maybe we will get into it in more detail at some point.
Yeah, we may well do
maybe
an
when we
SVG
played.
show,
Once you've played a game,
rolled over you
we might
with your dad.
You probably will. If we said right, let's have a 2-hour game, I gave you a little 10-minute intro, and then I use my Lake Town against your dad, I'm really going to struggle because the stuff that you need against dead is high courage, and my Lake Town don't have high courage. So I'd be sitting there scratching my head going, how the fuck do I beat this? And if you add in Aragorn, I really don't know how to beat. So you'd be winning. But we'll talk about that off air, so to speak. But I've painted that army. I'm working on Army of Thor at the moment for an event I've got coming up soon. And after that, I've got going to do the rest of the Iron Hills as I had a warband. I thought I might as well turn it into
my third army.
And I've got an Azul's Legion coming up. Those models have arrived. And then I've got a Mordor army to do, and a Rangers of Athelian army, and then a normal Minister Earth, and then I will probably roll into Gondor as well because that book's going to come out. So I have got this huge list, and I've got all of the models.
You need to get painted. So.
I'm working. I'm doing as hard as I can. But
Miniature Realms is screwed, but you're pumping out SPG.
What's screwed? The only thing that's screwed is me doing what I talked about every year is stop painting armies and working on competition painting. But I'm so infused with getting these armies on the shelf.
If you put all that SPG stuff aside, so I'm going to put 50, 100 hours into this model that I think is going to win, you're not going to paint it.
I can crack out armies quicker as well. So if you're comparing it with the Heresy army, there might be the same amount of inventory. It's quite often less.
Yeah.
And there's no tanks and all these other things, so they're much smaller armies. They take up less space.
Your Lake Town army, which is 40 or 50 models.
The total amount of models I got is,
if you run it in mob-handed,
I've got about 55, 56 or something in total.
And that is like the mega horde army in the game, though, isn't it? It's
not the only, but
that's the top end of sort of model count.
Yeah, there's Warrior Goblins and Goblin Town.
Yeah.
They can run a lot.
Also, my Rivendell, it's probably half the amount.
Tiny amount. Yeah, they're all elite, aren't they?
Yeah. So and they're not the most elite, the Rivendell ones, when you compare to like Army of the Dead and stuff.
It's similar, I think, depending on what mix you take. Army of Dead have got quite a limited range of troops to choose from. You've got Dead, you've got Mounted Dead, and you've got Herald, and you've got King of the Dead. They're the only selections in that army list. They don't work like everyone else. Most of them, you pick a hero and then you have to run them in a warband.
Yeah.
Dead don't have to have a leader. They kind of, one of their troops is like an elected leader to run. You even create your list differently. It's probably not the best thing to start with because you're learning the wrong rules for the game. But you're smart enough that won't be an issue if you were new to. It's like how
I don't understand how. I always say I don't understand how 50% of Blood Bowl works because I play goblins. And I don't understand how blocking and tackling works because you don't do it with goblins. You just run away and throw things around.
Exactly. They're quite often say the best way to learn a new game is to pick an army that kind of competes or works in every phase of a game. I suppose.
Well, that's why
it's slightly different.
That's why I picked humans as my next Blood Bowl team because they're an all-round team. They do a bit of
everything.
I've
always run humans in Blood Bowl. I haven't played it for years now, but
you probably got a better grip on the majority of the rules.
Yeah.
So
I've got lots of SPG painting done. I've done what Heresy armies have done. I've done Alpha Legion recently.
Yeah.
I've done Night Lords. I've done more Death Guard stuff.
Yeah.
I've done.
You did some that 40k Death Guard in 30k
40K,
colours.
Just done some 40k Death Guard. I've just done a big Baneblade. I'm doing some Colts and Militia at the moment. All pictures will be up might be out before this show actually. So there's a lot of stuff covered there. And I'm doing events as well. So since we last spoke on the show.
Your SPG event.
So we did locally. I ran an open play day. So I wanted to go to an event, and I knew I had the wife pass, so she's behind me for the weekend for a day to go and play. And I was waiting for details on an event in Bristol at Bristol Independent Gaming, and they just didn't release the details. It was in their calendar as an event, but nothing there.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, I've got the day passed to go, and I was chatting with the local players in our little Facebook group. And one of them said, "Why don't we just arrange to get together? We'll all play at Incom." So I booked out upstairs at Incom, set up 4 tables, and we just had loads of us hanging out in there for a day, just playing sort of pick-up games against each other.
You've got quite a few of the locals coming up for a wander up, and I think you intrigued a few people in. I think you hooked White House there as well.
There's quite a few. There's a core group of players that have played for a long time in the area. They don't always play at Incom either, so if people are local that listen to this that want to play Middle-earth and think there isn't a scene, there is. It just, a lot of the gaming gets done in people's homes and things like that, so there is actually a really big sort of, I think the chat has got about 25 people in, and at least 15 are regular players, and I think a lot of them play Incom, but just other games sometimes when they play Incom. So there's quite a few people. So we had that open play day, and then I did an event in Worcester a few weeks back.
Worcester War Games?
Yeah, Worcester War Games. First time I've been there, actually. Really
I've
nice.
I've never actually made it in there.
Yeah, nice. It's an odd War Games store because I don't think they have an online store. It's not like Chip where it's kind of, I've not seen
kind
the
of all
website.
done off Andy's personal Facebook, the online presence.
Yeah, so I think it's you go into the shop to buy your stuff. They've got quite a good range in there, and lots of used stuff in there.
Yeah, quite a good
amount of tables.
Basement as well, haven't they?
That was where we played it. I reckon they got 10 tables in the main shop.
Yeah,
and then I reckon they've got another 10 downstairs.
Yeah. I know Dale's been up there to play. I think he's been up there and played Drop Fleet Commander up there.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. Very laid back. Very kind of, I don't know how to describe it really. Yeah, different. It's different to Incom.
Well, it is. It's not the pub, and it's a more traditional.
Much more
shop,
of a local shop. Yeah. But yeah, it was still really, really good.
Local shop for local people.
But they were really nice. Really, really nice. Yeah. There was only 6 of us at this event.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was this super kind of 6 of us on the event. Really, really laid back. He works at O'Neill's. So for lunch, we all went off to O'Neill's and we had like 40% discount or something like that.
Nice.
So really, really cheap. Cool.
7
of us sat around a big table, talked about the first 2 round of games, and then went back for the second lot. So really, really nice event. I'm going to another one in October. Yeah. And that was a 550 point event. So people that are familiar with the game know that's sort of smaller size. It's probably like a 1,500 point game if you ever see that kind of thing. I took my Lake Town. I made a little mini display board for it. It's more like a tray, so it's made out of a
Jake has got all his better painted miniatures on now.
No, that's not it. It's made out of you get boards for artists to do oil paints on. They're like 5 mil thick. But it's cardboard but covered in like sort of acrylic paper or something. And it fits in my figure case. Yeah. So which is weird. So I take all the foam out of my figure case. My SPG army's in a really useful box in there, magnetised, and then this little tray fits on the top. Yeah. So it's perfect. So I'm carrying my army between. So I made this little mini theme sort of tray stroke display board. So the army was on there. 4 rounds. I won the first round. I'm going to see if I can remember. He says, looking at his notes. I think I wrote down. Not that they'll be listening, but the first round I played against, and this will be brief. Where is it? First round I played against a guy called Jack. He had this really awesome, quite scary in some scenarios, Sauron and the Witch King. So he had 2 models, and I had 44 models.
2 models of 550
2
points.
Extremely powerful models, and I had lots of chaff. And the scenario was domination, and the idea is you're trying to get models on an objective, and there were 5 objectives. So I just pretty much.
You had the numbers to do it.
Yeah, I could just spread my models around the table. It was very, very hard. I was going to win anyway because you just couldn't. You'd have to go around and kill absolutely everything, and I was just able to swamp him. Killed the Witch King. Well, I mean, if you'd
have gone barreling straight up the table to try and take him on, you may have beaten you because if you'd have thrown you could have thrown yourself.
Yeah, if I kept everything together,
you didn't need to play too cleverly to win.
No, I could send people off in small groups to 3 or 4 models to keep on certain objectives, and then leave the bulk there, just kind of slowing him down really, so he couldn't really do anything. So he needed to kill a lot. I think his best hope would have been to get some VPs from it by keeping me off 2. But what did I win by? This is a good win for me, and the only win of the weekend. Spoiler alert: 10-1 win.
Nothing's changed per game.
If I played him in the next round when it's a completely different scenario, I would have really struggled because it's all about how many wounds you can, to how many people you can kill. Yeah, well, he's only got 2 models.
He'd have butchered his
and I only killed 1. And every single individual man he killed, he'd have been getting VPs for.
By the time he killed 3, he's beaten you.
Exactly. You could cut back. So second game was a guy called Leon, who's they're all locals from Worcester, I think. I lost 10-0 on that. That's Lords of Battle. That's about killing stuff, whole army killing stuff. Game 3 was a guy called Kester, and playing against Army of the Dead. I think that was the Legendary Legion. I think he had Aragorn, so that was Legendary Legion. I lost 3-0. That was really, really close. And that came down to 1 millimetre.
1 millimetre.
So when you're measuring to do with objectives, another objective-based game, that's whole ground. So there's a central objective. It's about who's got the most number of models within a certain amount of inches of this central objective. There was 1 millimetre would have changed it. So one more model in would have meant that I would have got more VPs for that centre bit. So, but it might have been a draw, but extremely close. And I was on, in terms of game wise and stuff dying, I can bet it's really almost impossible for me to kill the dead. It's really, really hard. Their defense 8, really, really hard. So I felt like the whole game I was behind, if we use a supporting phrase, behind the 8 ball kind of thing, really, really struggling.
It was an uphill battle for you.
A lot of SPG games are like that. You feel like you're losing, but you can still win on the scenario. The scenario is so important.
If you can't match them in combat, you can outplay them.
Well, you can feel behind in the game, and then suddenly you go, I can win these games. It's just weird the way the game ebbs and flows a little bit.
About
you can
keeping your eye on the game the whole way through it.
And it's so much.
It's kind of like Necromunda. If I played games of Necromunda, like your first 2 rounds of shooting, you're like, "Fuck,
I've not done anything, or
I've
lost something."
And then you're like, "Well, you have a couple of lucky." I mean, I played Kurt a couple of times where leaders have survived insane rounds of shooting, and then, oh fuck, I'm in a position to really hurt you now because you're right in front of you. You've come out to hurt me, or oh, you failed your bottle test. Like you needed a 10 to fail a bottle test. Fucking you rolled it. Oh shit! And then you start failing your cool test, and people start. Oh fuck! So it swings. You've got to keep in the game.
The scenario is just as important as the matchup as well. If you have a very mismatched style of army, so elite versus my kind of bulk cheap horde. And then you add the scenario in, it completely changes the result depending on what you've got to do. Final round was a guy called Luke. Again, lost 8-0. And that's a game called Heirlooms. So I think I might have talked about it when I mentioned on the Open Play podcast. Yeah. But there's 6 counters go down.
Yeah.
And as you discover them, you roll a d6. If it's a 6, that's the heirloom.
Yeah.
And you've got to kind of keep it to the end of the game. If you don't, it just gets removed. So you don't know which ones to go for, but you can be a bit tactical by trying to trigger them because once you know when the last one left automatically becomes the heirloom. I was
going to say, you can't get to a scenario where there is no heirloom.
No. So you know the last one. So what you want to do is try to trigger them quickly so that you can force the one where you wanted in your area.
To be in a safer area, it could be the back of your area where you've got something.
But to mix all that up, you have something called Maelstrom deployment.
Yeah.
Maelstrom deployment basically means you're rolling on a table to find out where your stuff gets deployed. A lot of the rolls are very random, all table edges, and some of them your opponent gets to choose where they go on.
Yeah.
So that can really screw you as well.
You've got a really strong unit.
So if you roll well there, you can position yourself near them. If you get really lucky and roll a 6 for the first heirloom as well, you can be quite swingy.
But then you've got to hold it for the rest of the game as well. Then
you have Maelstrom deployment, I think, for whole ground as well. So it's the previous one I talked about, and I got really screwed over by that. We kept rolling to place each other's unit, but I was going before him, so I was saying put your unit there. Then he was rolling saying put your unit there next to my unit, and I was and it was a similar in this Maelstrom one, whereas the units were everywhere, but he got his heirloom very, very early on. I think second or third turn in the opposite end of the corner. With my army,
you're not very speedy.
Well, it's not speedy. It's just they're not known for killing and strong. So my best chance of winning would be to get the heirloom luckily early, and then hide it in a corner and stick as many things in between it as possible. So, that was like. But I love the system. I love the way the scenarios work.
But that's not that you say. It's not like some people get frustrated with games like because can't tactically win it. It's just luck. Well, no, it's a combination of luck, but you've got to set yourself up to be in the right place for that luck to come off still. So it's one of those things where the random element makes you think about your game rather than going, like War of Lies and Heresies can be like, we get to points where you're like, it's not worth me being on the objectives at the end. Like, that can annoy people because that's very much like the dice roll can screw you, where that sounds more like the dice roll is an element within the game, but you can set yourself up to make... You can force the issue, like you said. You could position yourself. So I'm going to jump on 5 very quickly, and that 6th one is right where I want it to be. Yeah,
and there were a lot more tactical things. Like I'm very new to the game. I still like after that event. That's only like 13 games into the system. So there were things I could have done, especially deployment-wise. Even with the Maelstrom, you still get to choose how you deploy them. I could have put them closer to a table edge rather than letting people get around the back.
Yeah.
I could have played a more boring game against Lee. So the second round, Leon had, I didn't mention what other people's armor had Rohan, so all this charging cavalry against my troops is tough as well. But I could have played a very negative game and sort of fed him a few models at a time.
Yeah.
And lost, but not lost by as many VPs.
Yeah.
But
you wanted to
it's
play
such a laid-back, relaxed tournament.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's have some fun, let's charge in, and that's what I was there to do. Pushing my painted models around the table. My fun was in creating and painting these armies for my favourite nerd world.
Yeah.
I love Middle Earth, and that's what it was about, really, for me. It was about
it's this thing of, like, almost in Heresy, like, tournaments are dirty word. And I think that comes from 40k burnout, from super competitive and badly competitive events, that actually... you can have tournaments that are laid back and fun. I played an X-Wing tournament with Chip. I've not played that. This is ages ago, and I've hardly ever played. It was great fun, shits and giggles all day. You can have a fun tournament. It's the attitude of the people that come across, and it sounds like very much like the six or seven of you were all on board to have fun.
Super relaxed. Yeah, super relaxed. Well, there's only
the
3 tables going on,
so everyone's looking at each other's.
We're all there
anyway.
chatting. It was very relaxed. So we had a nice lunch together. I came. When did I come? I think I can't remember if it came 4th or 5th. Wasn't last. I didn't get the spoon. Got best painter for my army. Yeah. It was a bit embarrassing because they decided it in public in the end, because the TO just went, everyone's going to vote for Stuart. And they went, yeah. And that was right at the beginning. And it was a little bit embarrassing. But
it's fair play,
but
mate.
It was fun.
It was a gorgeous army.
But so I was the only one that got to vote, because you got VPs for it as well, for your tournament points. Yeah. So it's like it's soft scores going into your tournament points. Because the second place best army got
you
VPs,
essentially picked it.
Because everyone else voted for me, I had to go and secretly tell him who I thought was the other one, so that because that would have gone to them. So it was a bit.
Nice, it's just
it was that relaxed, and
why
I'm
go through the
looking
bullshit
forward
of
to
making everyone vote secretly when it's
Yeah, well, you go home from an event, you got a couple of new Facebook friends, and you've already chatting about the next event. And I'm going to go. As I say, I'm going back to Worcester for the on the 13th of October. There's already, I think there's like 20 places available. There's already 7 or 8 people signed up now, so it's already growing there. Yeah. And it's nice to go back and help them grow the little scene.
Yeah, like we said with the Heresy events, one of the main things I enjoy about the Heresy events is the community now. I like going down to Eastbourne. I'm happy just to go and see people. It's just cool to be with people, and that's what I enjoy with them. Always come away, that's sounds like, like you said, you come away and you've made some friends and you've got a new little career, and it's great. That's the fun thing about it. So
there will be unfortunately people, if you don't like Middle Earth, it's what I'm doing most of my gaming at the moment, so they will come up each show, but it won't be the main segment of each show. I've got an event on the 7th of September as well in Bristol. So I'll be taking my army through to that as well. So I've got 2 events. So the next couple of shows will be around the events I've just been to. Will be Middle Earth ones, but
we'll be Titanic.
We'll be playing games as well. Like we said, we're going to try Warcry. We're going to try. I still haven't played Necromondays. You're going to give me an intro of that. I'm going to give you an SPG intro. And we're going to do.
We're not doing the SPG intro first, because otherwise we will be
God no.
We'll do something else first.
We might play it before then, but we won't do it as a show. Definitely.
Cool.
We haven't got any listener messages, have we? Because
nobody messages, because nothing records. But we'll go for a little break then.
Has your performance been letting you down recently? Have your bombs been jettisoned before your mission was complete? Do you find yourself accidentally rolling too early? Has your bag dropped its load before the game? Then Grayed Out Productions have the answer. Michael's handcrafted dice bags are a must-have for any tabletop gamer prone to spilling their pearlescent gaming A's before they're ready. Why not check out Grayed Out Dice Bags on Facebook, at their website at www.gradeoutproductions.com, or find them on Etsy. Grayed Out Productions are the only place where you can get the official G52 podcast dice bag. And Geno listeners can get 10% discount by entering Geno52, all in words, at the checkout in the Etsy store. Get control of your load today.
I'm just going to say hello and welcome back, because it's it's 20 past 10. This is the second podcast we've recorded tonight, and if I'm quite honest, I'm only funny for about 5 minutes, and most people wouldn't even agree with that statement. So I've run out of funny things to say.
It's still less content than we used to do for some of our big casts, but it does feel like I think it's because we talked about a lot of different.
To be
things.
fair,
it feels like the third or fourth segment.
We've recorded probably an hour and a half's worth of material, but I got over here at 7, so I've been here 4 and a bit hours.
Yeah,
just because
we've done the catch up. We didn't record, thankfully. We talked about politics for about 20 minutes in one of our little breaks. Lots of things, lots of topics covered. And it gets a bit
podcast. It's because, like you said earlier, we get a chat once a month or so in person, so we tend to talk about everything. But I just thought, fuck, I've got to say something funny again, and I'm not funny. Right, anyway, what are we doing? Main topic. So we thought, quite fittingly for the start of the show, we're going to talk about being a multi-system gamer. You know, just what happens with it.
Can it work? We don't know. We'll find out.
I think it all depends what you want from your... I think AOS, 40k, Heresy can be very all-consuming communities and games. They're big. Painting a 2,000 point AOS 40k Heresy army is a big commitment in time and resources. Mm-hmm. It sucks you in, and almost some of my fear about playing other game systems is knowing how much of my life has been devoted to doing Heresy. And one of the things I've discovered, Necromunda was a big reveal to me. It was like, fuck, I've painted, in 6 weeks, I painted my Caldor gang to a point where I've got more fucking models than I'll ever need because of the campaign system went on. I just got shitloads of go. And I'm looking at them like, I should paint more Necromunda.
Because all these free Jews you shouldn't have had.
Yeah, fucking hell, yeah. Anyway. But I've got more than enough models now, and I will add a model. I'm going to add the headsman when it comes out. I'm going to do bits. And actually, I never really need to do more than that. And that gang can sit on my shelf forever now. Yeah. I might do the odd model for a new gun or something. And it's like, okay, cool. That isn't the 6 months it takes to knock out a 2,500 point Heresy army. Mm-hmm. So I think it's in my head getting around to the fact you can be a multi-system gamer. I think you if you're going to play AOS or one of these bigger game systems,
it's a type of game, is what you're saying, isn't it? It's the size of the system.
That's going to be your main game. I think so. You talk about your SBG chat. I'm in the game, one of the Incon gaming chats, which is the Blood Bowl guys mainly.
Yeah.
And they're forever just skipping between games. I'm like, fucking, how do you keep it? Because they want to play Shadespire, Necromunda, Blood Bowl. But a Blood Bowl team can take... so White House painted a Skaven Blood Bowl team in... He did it in 8 hours, essentially. He did it over a couple of days, using contrast. And it was... did you see his Chaos team that got up on Community, on the Blood Bowl page?
I don't know if I did, actually.
On the... Blood Bowl Facebook page, they shared his Chaos Source. He's painted them for the World Championships, and he is gone to take. He's a good painter. He tends to paint for gaming a lot.
Yeah.
And he sat down with his Chaos team and he went, I'm going to paint this I want to win Best Painter there. And they're stunning. They're beautiful. And the community picked them up the other day. But I'll see if I can find his page while I'm talking. But he managed, on the opposite end, he painted his Blood Bowl team in... He painted the Blood Bowl team in the Skaven one in contrasting, and they look really good. Mm-hmm. So it's that thing of actually you can play multi-system games because you don't have to paint. Now, if you want to play Heresy, AOS, and 40k, fuck me, you're going to need some hobby time. But actually, you don't have to do that. You can. So that's it on Community. I was just showing.
Oh yeah, really nice, really nice.
Let's see where he's put it because he took a bunch of pictures. He took a bunch of pictures of them.
I hear where you're coming from. That I think I've obviously been gaming for years, right back to when I was a kid. Yeah, they were really nice. Really. When I was a kid and I gamed, it was very much watch your army for fantasy, watch your 40k army then, and you played all of the games and you picked it, and each new game is like, well, I'm going to play that and I'm going to pick this faction for that. And it didn't really matter so much as a kid because I don't think you ever really did it all. It was all in your head and you had bits and models, but it's not so. You never really finished so much completion.
2,500 point force.
And then when I got back into gaming, I kind of started, as much as I bought 40k first, I didn't really play it. I went into this fantasy for years, was my main game, but I still had other systems, and not just GW games.
Yeah.
I had Malifaux, I had War Machine, I had all these multiple games, and then I bought stuff for Saga, and I bought stuff for a Napoleonic skirmish game, and I had very much multi-system across a lot of different manufacturers, and a lot of them would need a lot of painting, and I wanted to do all these things, and it's that hobby butterfly thing, jumping between the next. But if I'm really honest with myself, I was probably playing one of those games, and the amount of games I had never opened. So I'd flick through the rules, put it on the shelf, then the miniatures never even got built. The amount of systems I've probably bought and sold over the last few years before I started with Heresy was too many. It was silly. It wasn't sustainable.
I think that's a fairly common thing.
Oh yeah,
I
think nearly every other gamer does that. Yeah. It seems to be a core. You seem to be a single system gamer, or you play lots of things.
Yeah.
And when I had a bit of a break, I gave up playing War Machine. I think it was around the time first child was coming along, and I wasn't really playing games anyway. When I got into Heresy almost became my only system.
Yeah.
And I got so into it, I cleared out a lot of my stuff. And then I suppose slowly now other things have crept back in. But the difference now, because I'm well aware, I'm a bit older and a bit more sensible, I'm well aware of whether I'll have time to play things. I won't now. I've got an AOS army, it's on the shelf. If I didn't have it painted, I probably wouldn't buy it now. Yeah. I've not got a 40k army sitting there to play, just in case. I'm not going to collect. I've got 2 Heresy armies fully painted. I might add a model here and there as when one comes out, but that's it. They're done and ready to go.
Yeah.
So I am a little bit free now to play other things if I want to. But aside from SBG, when I've got this massive list of armies, which I said earlier, coming up, it will be, I want to play Necromunda. I enjoyed that intro game. Yeah. I'm going to paint a gang. And again, it's that kind of small amount of models. As long as I buy it and I paint it relatively quickly, rather than buy them and go, well, add it to the big list, and they never happen, I will let myself keep them and buy the miniatures. That's my new rule to myself.
Yeah.
So if I buy it and get it painted, it can go in the cabinet. Aside from that list of SPG armies, the only unpainted stuff I've got is a Warhound Titan in a box. I've got Eisenhorn and a Noise Marine.
Yeah.
And I've got my Blood Bowl teams, really.
Yeah.
So other than that, I've not got a huge list of other games with unpainted miniatures, and I want it to stay like that, really.
Thinking about this similar sort of principle work from a financial point of view. So I'm a sucker for pre-order.
Yeah.
I save 5% extra and pre-order it. And I pre-order it, and it sits there for 3 months. And actually, I haven't saved 5% then. I spent more money than I needed to. So I'm looking at it from, I've got a hobby budget. I got money to spend. I will have other hobbies outside of hobbying. I like to do things outside of it as well. I like to socialise and stuff as well. And I'm thinking, that 30 quid I spent on that model that's going to sit in the shelf for 6 months is something I could have put on something else. Even as, in time of hobby, it's money to go and do events. It's money to buy paint. It's money to buy other things as well. So I'm looking at like, okay, I'm not saving 5%. I'm spending more money than I need to. And I'm better off spending 5% more when I'm ready to do that. And that's how I'm trying to change my attitude towards gaming. Because I get that thing where I look around. I mean, I've been doing it with Song of Ice and Fire stuff. I bought it months ago. And it's just every time I walk into my hobby room is my home office. I'm based from home. So I have my work desk and my work set up, and I have my painting desk set up next to it. I'm very lucky that way. But whenever I walk into my office, which is every day, I'm presented with, you still haven't fucking painted that. Yeah. And it does kick you up, fuck's sake. Like, I've been after the Song of Fire box set for a long time. I've ummed and ahed about buying it from, and I know I'm working my way through it, and it's just the way I'm painting it at the moment. I'm using it as breaks from other things. Yeah. I'm painting a couple of models and going back to it, blah, blah, blah. But that pisses me off, and it actually takes my hobby motivation away. Yeah, because I just think, what the fuck's the point in painting today? I've got a pile to do. So I'm trying to be clever with my purchasing to keep me motivated as well.
There's nothing worse than buying something and then by the time you've got time to do it, you don't want it
You've
anymore.
Lost that
and you just sell it. To be fair, I bought Legion. I say I haven't got anything else unpainted. That's wrong. Yeah. I've got Legion. Star Wars Legion.
Well, I sold off.
My rationale for keeping it is because my son loves Star Wars as well, and I know that in a couple of years' time I will play it. So I'm happy now. That's on a shelf away, and then when he wants to play, we'll get it out and maybe we'll paint it together.
Well, I sold what I bought off for Legion, apart from the ATSD, because I want
to paint the model.
I want that's a model. But again, I'm sitting there thinking, I will paint that. when I'm ready to paint it, and I want to do it military modelling style, and it's going to be a display piece. So I'm going to sit on that for a while. And I don't mind that, because I'm like you said about Eisenhorn and stuff. I'm a bugger for collecting those special edition models. I got Eisenhorn, I got the Noise Marine, I picked up Severin Rain. I've got about 5 or 6 of those little single miniatures. I got the Canon S, the John Blanche Canon S, that classic sculpt. I like buying those. I will keep them, because one day I will just sit down and go, that's what I want to paint today. I'm just going to paint that. And I'll pick them. But I like keeping them as collector's pieces anyway. I'll just keep those.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind keeping stuff. I'm not being brutal about like, if I'm not painting it now, I'm not keeping it.
Yeah.
It's more about being brutal with game stuff.
Yeah, whole systems worth of boxes of stuff. That this is
an army or
this is
a
army
team for
unpainted
this.
and ready to go for a game I'm not playing, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah, I think that's been my. And I've still got stuff I probably shouldn't have, but my biggest change from 10 years ago to now, to post kind of starting Heresy, when that was my new system, is yes, I can. My rule, like I said earlier, is
the only thing
have
that
stuff
might
as long as
break,
it's painted.
The only thing that might break me is the Sisters of Battle release.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got a plan for that. I think I'm going to do them for Kill Team.
So
I can build it slowly as the releases come out. I can buy a box of the troops, because I bought the what was the Canon S model that came out that Darren Latham just sculpted.
Yeah.
I bought that again. If I never do a Sisters of Battle army, I will paint that model at some point.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But,
I think as long as people do what you want. My own
personal,
my
rationale.
my own personal rule is if I paint it for display, or if it's a system, get it painted so you can play it.
Yeah.
Don't go into a system that you don't play and you're not ready to paint yet, because then you will go off it and find something new before you've even got around to painting it. Like you said, hold off buying it, and if it comes to the urge and you do want to play that game,
when I get to the point where I'm like, okay, I'm
it.
ready to do it. What did I want to? Oh, that's still it. Yeah, I still want to have a crack at that.
My biggest danger at the moment is the semi-break of the rule, is all those SPG armies is lined up. But
you're balls deep in the game system.
And because they're relatively easy once you paint them, to kind of spend a month to 6 weeks to paint an army, I think I will do it. I've got this weird desire to kind of own and collect those things and have them on the shelf as well.
I could see, even if you stop gaming, in 10 years' time, you might still have those out in the display cabinet, because you're a Lord of the Rings fan. It's kind of like me. I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. That's why I wanted to do Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah, totally makes. It'd be nice when you've finished. Maybe you finished your few bits for Heresy for your event in October, is it, or November?
Yeah, October.
Maybe you'll have a bit more time to.
Once the Heresy army is done, the next army project is to focus
Especially you pick up some SPG Ghosts, spray them,
contrast them.
No, you need to contrast them.
I would just do a prime and white, dry brush.
Super quick green. Army done. See, I've got this.
Go in and do the
I've got this thing as well. Is my kind of completion OCD.
Yeah.
And I was joking about it in our chat last night with Dan and Sam. But because the reason I've got some Iron Hills to finish off the army is because I got one more band and I want to use them. So I feel like I've got to do them before I move on. And I'd be the same with the Song for Fire and Ice. I'd be the same as you. I want to paint those, but I'll be thinking, well, if I just get an army done quickly,
well, for me, what I'm going to
then I can feel free to put all my time into it.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to do. I like to finish a project so I feel free to really enjoy the next one. And it's hard when you got two competing for your time. You end up not doing either.
Yeah, and I'm to be honest, I'm a little bit in that position with my hobby at the moment. Like, I'm not getting anything done because I'm indecisive about what I want to do. But like, I'm in a bit of like,
You need deadlines.
Yeah.
You need reasons to do it. So that you need to go to a Song for Fire and Ice event so that you can.
Well, there's one coming up in Bristol hopefully soon, and I'm waiting for the guy to get back in the date. And if it's a realistic deadline, if he says, well, I'm going to do it in the end of September, I'll be like,
yeah, well, you're not going to be able to do it. If it's realistic, it might just give you that.
I might turn around and just go, fuck it, I'm going to go unpainted and I want to play the game. But I'm more likely, if he goes, it might be November, I'm like, cool, there's my line. When I say October for Greetings, it's the first weekend in October. I got 21 models to paint. Yeah. I should be able to knock him out. Like we talked about doing the flash on thralls earlier. My thralls, I don't reckon will take me that long to knock out. It's more than converting them because I got to chop arms off and put buzzsaws and chain blades and stuff on various people.
But I think that's what you might need, little deadlines.
Yeah,
little deadlines. We'll have to liaise with Dan and maybe Sam. No, Sam's painting his Hobbit. Yeah. Maybe we can all do. In November time, we all go up to Warhammer World for some SPG games, and that might give you a little, a little bit of a kick. Maybe we'll do Ghost. I've got 30 models to paint, and a
Yeah.
lot of it's all airbrush. Maybe it'll go, I'll get them done for that, and you'll suddenly have at the moment it sounds like you've got this mixed match of loose deadlines, whereas if you've got this one first, I need to finish that, and then I can move this one and then this one.
Heresy's moving forward because I've got a deadline. The Heresy's moving forward. Like, I was sat there, I actually met Table Tom the other day, Wednesday. I saw him. And we were looking at it because we booked a hotel together and we were going up to Greens together. We were looking at that. Fuck, actually, it's the first weekend in October. Like, I was like, because I'm like, oh, I'll get the thralls done through September. No, they've got to be done in September. So now my thing of like, boom, as soon as I get paid next week, I'll be ordering the bits. The Magos is the pain in the arse. I'm going to talk to you about. I'm not sure how to approach the Dreadmore. Just in terms of colours, and I've got some ideas, but I want to run and by you.
Once I've seen it kind of built or mostly built, I might have.
The Magos is easy because the Magos I can do because the Magos will follow my paint scheme. Actually, it's going to be a white cape and gold armour. It's fairly easy for me to knock out. I can do that bit. That's not too hard. The Dreadmore is the thing of because I've got the flesh and I've got China's plates to deal with, and just how I'm going to approach it. I want to do black plates highlighted with the Incubi Darkness.
Yeah,
for the the big ridge plates on the back.
That'll work
because that will fit with other elements of my army.
The right colours of flesh.
Okay, and then it's what kind am I going to do the flesh to make it stand out against the sand base and a few other bits, and it's a lot more natural.
Yeah, you can't go fleshy if it's sand; it'll look a bit washed out.
But it's what do you do against the black plate on the back? Yeah, so it's just interesting. It's just there's some interesting stuff to do with that, but we'll have a conversation about
definitely.
that.
So linked to this, and something that's just occurred to me. So we've just talked about owning multiple systems and a number of miniatures, and then time for painting them and time for playing them. But the other thing I know for me, and I wonder if it's the same for you, is how do you deal with multiple systems in terms of your headspace and in terms of your focus on a game? Can you happily switch from one to the other, or do you get so focused on one that the others aren't interesting? Or how does that work for you?
I think it's quite clear if you've been listening about it, gaming is quite your major passion is painting. I enjoy painting a lot. I like gaming as well. I think I'm more into gaming, the playing of a game than maybe you are. Not saying you're not.
Yeah, definitely.
I play more regularly than you. That's when I find I have a natural. I can switch between game systems quite well. Yeah. Because fundamentally, it's all the same. We're moving a model. We're rolling a dice. We're doing shit. I find light natural. So I tend to find. I'm not an expert. Heresy, I've got the rulebook quite now. But the one thing I have found, Heresy takes a lot to remember. Same as 40k. Yeah. It takes a lot to remember because it requires you to have a book. Most of the other game systems I play, Necromunda, AOS, Song of Ice and Fire, Blood Bowl to a certain extent, you've generally got a roster, or you've got a gang sheet, or you've got cards. You've got the majority of information in front of you. You don't have to remember. Ballistic skill 4 means I'm hitting on a 3. If I'm getting 3 up to here, it's on a card in front of you. Same as Song of Ice and Fire. Everything's on a card in front of you. You can play. All the special rules for that unit are down on that thing.
I do love that kind of thing.
So I don't need the headspace. I need to remember the rules. So AOS, the one thing I have to remember a lot is command points, command abilities, traits. So there's some and it just comes down to what do I need to spend my command point on, and what don't I need to spend my command point on. There's certain things in that, and that's it. But that's one element that I've got to think about. I can play everything else as long as I've got. I don't even read the rule book. If I've got my battle tome with me, I can play the entire game. And if I've got the cards, 90% of the game is played off the cards because it's just going. It's this unit. What does that need to hit? And the only reason I would generally check the cards for what do I hit on. Because don't play the game enough to be completely
it's in your head, in the same way as it would be with a heresy game. It's most of it's in your head.
But it doesn't require brain space because
it's there.
That's it. I'm not thinking of a chart in the different.
I'm a big fan of those kind of cards. Funnily enough, they could bring some out for SPG.
It's very.
They do have. There is a two. Your hits are on there. Yeah. Your hits different, but there is a wounding chart. Yeah. But that's the only chart. There's jump tables and stuff, but again, it's quick reference chart does it, but most of the in-game stuff, fighting
I imagine those jump charts and stuff don't come up too often.
No, and they're pretty much the same D6 roll for jump, climb, whatever. It's that you've just got to know that the ones that fail and the 6s are really good. You've done it really well and you can keep moving. And the 2 to 5, 2
one
to
is
5
a fail and you stop. 2 to 5
5
is generally you get up and you stop
as
with
soon as
no
you've done it.
negative.
Yeah.
6 is you jump up and you can carry on.
And it's the same for jump, climb, blah, blah. The difference is if it goes wrong and what can happen. But that's somewhere in the middle because it's an older system, but with very modern values. And they looks like they're releasing faction cards that are very much like the AOS one. So that will help things even more as well. As you know, I don't play Heresy enough and didn't play Heresy enough, and I did struggle with the volume of weapons profiles and that kind of knowledge of the game and the design of it.
I love Heresy. I absolutely adore the game. But the more I play other game systems, I see the creaks in Heresy. If I was in your position with a young son, Heresy would not be anywhere near a game that I could play with him. AOS,
I'm not even contemplating it.
Even with Jacob, it is you can narrow it down to 5 models and say you need to hit on a 3. You need to roll. Here's the 5 dice. Roll those. How many 3 or above did you get?
Yeah.
And that functionally, while these are very simplified way, that's how that game works.
Yeah.
So you can play that Heresy. I love Heresy and I love the granularity. I do love this thing about granularity. I'm going to come back to now. We talk about Heresy. Oh, it's great, so detailed. Titanicus is fucking detailed, so granular. You're talking about reactors and moving into. It's amazing, but it's still. But the difference is it's modern design on that granularity, and that's why Titanicus is a better game than Heresy for me, because I might have all that fine detail, and I'm checking my fire arcs, and I'm lining up, and I've got arcs, and I'm hitting sides, and I'm hitting various points, and I've got to know these stuff. But fundamentally, on my terminal, I hit on a 3 up when I'm shooting. If I get too close, I'm going to go into combat, I'm hitting on a 4. I've got a command check to pass, which is 3 for a warlord and it goes up on scale. If it's my Princeps Senioris, it's a 2. Very simple. So my movement, my turns, everything. It's all written down for me.
Yeah, it's quite often where that detail is presented, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's just a 3 up. I don't have a ballistic skill of 4. I have a 3 up to hit. It's the same fucking thing.
Yeah.
And where do the modifiers come in? Okay, well, you're obscured, so I'm -1 to hit, or I'm ranged and I'm ranged. It can be done very good. You can have that granularity in a modern game design. Heresy, I love and I play it, but I have said to a lot of people, I play it well because I've played it lots. And that's not if we talk about multi-system gaming, one of the things you want to do to enjoy a game is be able to pick it up and play it quickly. If I'm going to dip into a game, I want to get there and get back. X-Wing is fantastic. Fundamentally, you set your dial, you move your turn, you roll dice and compare results.
It's opposed dice, isn't it?
Same as Legion is essentially the same.
Yeah.
You can dip
strip
into
that back.
Now, if you play X-Wing competitively,
there's
you've
loads
got
of layers there.
and it is full of tactical depth. But you're not excluded. So Infinity, one of the things that puts me off Infinity is I do think you're excluded from Infinity in the same way. It's a very, very detailed game. I know the people who play it love it, and it's fantastic, and it really satisfies.
I don't know enough about it.
I know it's still quite well designed.
I spoke to Dave Saunders quite a bit online, and how he plays, and he says that it's actually a lot more simple than people realise, that there's a lot less weapons profiles.
Yeah, but it's still granular.
A typical type of gun is the same in the whole game, and it's not.
But it's still quite granular. It's still.
I imagine so. I'm not familiar enough.
I'm not familiar. Bolt action is another great example. I learned to play bolt action in one evening.
Simple,
generally quite simple, generally straightforward, but tactical depth comes from other elements. So
from scenarios and things. Often that's
I think
I like where games add the tactics through a well-written scenario. And those scenarios force you to think about your list building. That's really good. I'm probably slightly different to you in terms of the way I think about it. I haven't got, like you said, the headspace for remembering rules, but in terms of headspace, in terms of balancing what I'm enjoying with the system, there's usually something that's dominant, which is clearly Middle Earth at the moment. But it's quite weird. Heresy at the moment, I absolutely still love the lore and the modelling side of it, and that's not diminished at all. I'm excited for the next book. I'm only one behind, and that's because I'm waiting for the audio, and that's not why.
As soon as Lost in the Dams on the audio book, it'll be downloaded.
Other than that, I'm completely up to date, and I'm really excited for it. And I love, probably my favourite thing to paint is Heresy tanks and stuff. I absolutely love doing it. So that's not changed at all. in terms of playing the game on the tabletop, I'm probably more of a collector of the models now, and I will play it as beer and pencil pickup games a couple of times a year. Yeah. It's not something I want to arrange games down the club, and I don't feel like now, not shooting off, I don't want to go and do an event for it. Because I want to do one-day things, and I think other systems fit in a little bit better. Whereas SPG, I like the rule. I enjoy playing the game regardless of the models, if that makes sense at the moment. Yeah. I quite like the way the system works. I find it.
You're finding enjoyment in the game,
and then for me to fit in other games, they have to be low model count and simple enough that I can just go. Like taking a ball game down from I've got a cabinet over there with ball games on. If Em and I go, should we have a game tonight? Yeah, let's get small one out. Games I can dip into like that without breaking.
Oh yeah, I remember that works.
And that's where something like Necromunda will come in, because a small one I can put them in the cabinet. I've got my collection of my toy soldiers. I love painting. I love owning models in the cabinet. Yeah, let's play that tonight and get out and have fun playing the game. But I don't feel like I need to be deeply involved in the community in terms of worrying about rules and things like that. And the people in the community, that'll be their main game, that works for them. But if it's a game that I can dip in and out of like that, I got the space to be a multi-system gamer in that way. But I probably only got the headspace for one major game that I'm playing and thinking about day in, day out.
Yeah, I think it's a primary focus, isn't it? I mean,
so gaming-wise, my primary focus at the moment, and probably will be now for a few years, will be Middle-earth.
But one of the nice things as well is that can change. You know, that's the.
I will have cycles. So I've just had a 3-year cycle of Heresy being the main focus, and it's still there, and it genuinely is still there. But it's very much it's more of a there for the lore and for definitely for the novels and for painting and modelling.
That's maybe a good example of where we're at a different space at the moment. Is that I don't think I've got a primary focus at the moment. I'm very much meandering, and I think it's reflected in my hobby. I paint 4 or 5 Song of Ice and Fire models, and I might do something for Necromunda, and then I might paint that historical bust again, and I might go back. I'm doing a bit of Magos, a bit of Mechanicum work, and I'm ambling a bit.
It's probably AT, isn't it?
AT is my gaming focus at the moment.
Do you think that would be bigger if the scene was bigger and louder and more out there, like some of the other systems? If they were like
maybe possibly
more podcasts around it, if there were bigger events around that you're making, there's that chatter. So even with SPG, we just had a massive event with Arnicon. There's GTs at games. The people are talking about meta and stuff. That's less of that with AT, isn't it?
I'm enjoying AT. AT is my primary gaming focus, but a lot of that is because I got a Warlord, 2 Reavers and 2 Warhounds. I've got 4 Knights painted up, 4 Questoras, 2 Cerastus.
So you're all ready to go.
I'm mainly waiting for weapon options now. I don't need to go out and do more. I'm talking with Henry about what I'm going to do next. I'm tempted to do a Legio Mortis, Myrmidon Maniple, which is going to be 3 Warlords and a Reaver. Very heavy. That would be a very focused army then. So one of the things me and Henry have been talking about, we're both at a point where when Henry's painting up the army that's going off, the Maniple that's going off for the Heresy raffle.
Yeah.
So he's now looking, that's coming to being finished, and he's thinking what he's going to do. And we've talked about this idea of I was like, I don't want to make a massive collection of one thing again. And we were talking about, why don't we just do Legio and Maniples? So I might do a Legio Solaria Lupercal Maniple. 4 Warhounds, a few Knights, maybe 4 Warhounds and a Warlord. Done. That's my Solaria Maniple. And then I might do Mortis, do 3 Warlords and a Reaver. Done. Mortis. And that's a very different play style to the... And just do those little things. So
big one Legion collections. With
so I've got lots.
I suppose I'm doing that a little bit with the way I'm doing Middle Earth.
Yeah, you're can building an army for each faction.
I am pretty much. Yeah, it's quite, the Hobbit armies tend to be smaller amount of choices. So that kind of, even though I've got the whole faction of Lake Town, it's also there's not many choices. There's like
not
6 or 7 heroes. I've done the same with when I've come onto all the Lord of the Rings ones I've got planned. They're Legendary Legion, so they're quite focused and small. That's built to a theme rather than what are you doing next? I'm going to start working on Minas Tirith, and then I'm going to collect all 20 of the characters I can get. All that. They're much bigger. You can have big collections. I'm not saying I'll never do that, but I like going. I'm building a list. I'm building this focused kind of collection of miniatures, and that
really appeals for me for SVG. Like I said, I would be more tempted to do a Legendary Legion than anything else because it gives me that narrative focus. So it's a Heresy thing. we build the
restricts
thing,
your choices.
gives me an idea, gives me a focus. Right, I'm doing that, and that's my thing. See, I'd be very tempted to do Pelennor Fields Rohan Army.
Yeah,
with Theoden and.
It's a good one. That's the one I will probably do, but I might get swayed by
but yeah,
things in the future.
But I like that idea. Rather than just going, here's my Rohan force, here's my Pelennor Fields force, or here's my 300's Army of the Dead. There's a focus, and I love that idea. It's a really great idea.
I think it's a very smart addition to the system.
And it helps focus you. If you are a multi-system gamer, okay, I don't need to go and make a collection. I'm just going to do this bit of this game. This bit of this game is what I want to do. Great, boom, bang, done.
It works. It works well. It scales quite well as well.
Cool. I think we've rattled off quite a lot, and we're starting to go around in circles like we usually do. So I think we'll go out to a little break then.
Lord Marshal Great, sir. Legion reinforcements now visible on the left flank.
About time. The wolves, I see.
No, sir. Ultramarines, sir.
But they're wearing grey, Proclamator Fennec.
Fox message said new recruits, sir. No time to paint armour.
At least the Raven Guard are in black armour.
Sorry, sir. That's more Ultramarines.
For Emperor's sake, fox them and find out why.
Also new armour, sir. Their eye lenses are red, and the bolt guns are silver. 3 colours minimum, sir.
What the? Get on the Vox now and tell them to contact Miniature Realm Studio.
Miniature Realm Studio, sir.
Yes, Fennec. Miniature Realm Studio offers a commission painting service, competitive rates, and a range of painting standards to suit most budgets and requirements.
Yes, sir. I suppose they do say that fully painted is for closers.
What does that even mean, Fennec?
I don't know, sir.
Miniature Realm Studio can be found on Facebook, on Twitter at Miniature Realms, on Instagram at Miniature Realm Studio, or just drop Stuart an email at miniaturerealmstudio@gmail.com.
Right, this concludes Season 2, Episode 1.
This includes Season 2, that's it, we're done. Yeah. No, we've just paid for the hosting for another year, so we've got to keep going.
Yeah, we got at least 12 months on this, just paid for it. Well, we've paid for it. So there's not a lot to say at the end. Just say, I hope you've enjoyed first rambly chat through some other game systems. Hopefully we'll get some, we're going to get some direction and start looking at game system stuff. If you think there's a game system we're going to enjoy, send us a message. I'll see if I can hassle Chip to give us a starter set.
Lend us a starter set.
There's a starter set. We're getting in play. Aeronautica's coming out. I can't buy it, but Chip is building the demo set as we speak. So, I might play a game of that with him and stuff. So social media wise, you're going to probably see that we're going to start posting more and more stuff, different game systems on there. We're going to rationalise the groups a little bit just to thin them down, so we're going to have one main Geno group, but it's going to be a general open hobby place.
Post your stuff in there, not just games as well. If it's just painting, if you're painting an Airfix kit, I don't care. Paint. Just if it's
painting hobby and generally shit.
If it's gaming, ball games as well. Yeah. Ball game, any kind of gaming, any kind of painting. As long as it's not video games, you can fuck that.
We're a community. That's the thing now. This is a community. It's not a community focused around one game. It's a community focused around the enjoyment of painting, modelling, hobbying. Don't get too off-paced into movies and books and stuff because, we aren't that kind of bit. But
we're not into that.
This is a wargaming community, that's really where we are. But, if you want to shoot us any messages, guys, we're going to try and get into, we've got plans on how we're going to try and record with live. We kind of want to get back into at least once a month, maybe more if we're doing it. These are going to be shorter, sharper shows, a bit more focused. So I think I'm done. I'm certainly done in. It's 5 to 11. I've been
tiring
talking
when
for
you haven't
hours.
done this for a while, isn't it?
Yeah, shit me. Well, I was going to say, how did I used to do 3 or 4 hours of this? I used to drink a bottle of rum and fucking steam. How many close downs did you have to do? Because I got too pissed and had to go to bed.
A few.
Quite a few. So I'm all done. Anything else you wanted to mention, Stu?
No, not at all. Looking forward to the next one.
Take it easy. See you soon, guys.
It's my second-hand wonder, a thing that recovers the doubt. Slim like the rainstorm. It's gotta do what you want. Assemble and sail the slim door. It's alright to shake, to fight, to feel. Slim door. It's alright to shake, to fight, to feel. Harness your hopes to the folks with the liquor, with the ropes, red horoscopes. They got everything you will ever need stored under the chair. Simmer, simmer, simmer down. Simmer, simmer, simmer down. Waste your precious breath explaining that you are worthwhile. Simmer, simmer, simmer down. Simmer, simmer, simmer down. Be patient and I'll let you see my carrot run. Feed my thrill. I got beat by weather. Carrot run. Feed my thrill. I got beat by weather. Carrot run. Feed my thrill. It's time to get me off of the ground. The wicked keeper is down. Hey, little boy, would you like to know what's in my pocket or not? It's no ploy, it's no gimmick, it's a chance of a lifetime to see something that's never seen by mere mortals except me and myself and sweet-eyed bees. So what do you say? Would you like to play 20 questions with me? A little Christian lie. A little Christian lie. Debating if it's time to drop the bomb on you, my dear. A little Christian lie. A little Christian lie. Let's get down to brass tacks and start it. A carrot run. Feed my throat.